Hello, I am Sophie. Welcome back to my channel. It is a beautifully stormy day out today. It's pretty much been on and off, raining and thunderstorming all day. This weather has put me in the mood to be creative. That's a good thing. I am a writer, but I think it might be time to try something new. Don't look at this giant pimple on my face. Pretend it doesn't exist. Okay, so today in this vlog, and for however long I end up filming, we will be trying a little writing, not a writing experiment, but more of like a writing journey? Not really that either. Let me just explain what's happening. So, I have never been good at poetry. Never. I've never been able to do it well. And it's always made me sad. Like, as a writer, it's like, I feel like that's like something that people also try to do. It's like, okay, you can write fiction, you can write like short stories or novels or something, but you can also write poetry. And I wish that was me, and it's not me. And I always just get like so embarrassed, I guess, of the kind of poetry that I can write, that it falls apart. It never ends up going anywhere because I'm like, ew, this sucks, and I scrap it and I forget about it. But today, in this video, I would like to push back against that voice and try and just start working on this skill that I wish I had, and try not to feel any shame in not being good at it yet. I would love to write poetry. I'd love to write songs someday, something like that, but I can't do that if I don't even know how to write poetry in the first place. So we will be trying to learn. We will be trying to at least dip our feet into poetry. I have a game plan. First, I will be creating a little poetry book. Isn't this the cutest notebook ever? Hold on. I got this forever ago at like a kid's like toy store. It's super cute. It's pocket size. I already put a pen in it, but don't worry about that. And we are calling it a messy poetry book. Already admitting off the top that it's not gonna be good. There is like 22 pages in here after the title page. So I'm gonna be writing 22 poems in this. The pages are split between lined and like a dotted grid. And what I wanna do is I want to put my little poem here. Hopefully they all fit on this one page, or you know, they all fit on a single page. And then on the other side, I want to do a little doodle, a little drawing, something to go with it. So it'll be 22 poems, 22 drawings, and I don't really have a set time I want this done, so I will be making updates after this video is over, just being like, and this is where my poetry is at. We will see how that goes. I have not started yet, but I'm really hoping I can actually stick with this and create something like really fun and silly. And maybe as I try to get better at poetry and poems, I can look back on these and be like, this was my first attempt at really sitting down and trying to write poetry. So we will be starting this today, a little later, because I do have an essay to write that I need to really get done first. So I'll come back. It might be dark when I come back, but yes, we will be starting this. And also, alongside this, I would like to do some research into good poetry. I did a quick Google search, went through some like reviews and everything of other people also trying to get recommendations for good poetry collections, and I found 4. You can't read it, but I found 4 that I'm gonna go to Bookman's probably later in this video because I don't want to drive around in the rain right now, and we're gonna try and find a couple of used copies that I can get and mark up and read through and everything. So I have 4 there that I want to look for, and we'll just see how this goes. I'm telling myself now that they're going to suck and that I just need to be okay with that. I might do like a random word generator maybe, at least for a couple, because like sometimes I do want to just like go out, find inspiration, write something down about whatever I observed, I guess. But if I'm stuck, I think I'll do like a random word generator and we'll find something through that. But getting ahead of myself. That is the plan for this video. Do a couple of entries into this cute little notebook, go get some poetry books and give them a nice reading, and see if I'm completely in over my head with this endeavor. Yeah. Okay, I am back. Essay is complete. I'm done with summer school. We're free. I love it. And it is time to try an attempt at my first poem outside of like English class and like the poetry unit. My first did I already say this? I might have already said this. My first little poem here that I want to try will be about monsoon season, because I'm very excited for monsoon season to start. We're already seeing sort of the beginning of it, but monsoon season doesn't really start until like August. But you know, summer rain. Summer rain is just so fun. I will be giving myself a notepad in order to brainstorm, in order to write down lines that I like before I actually come up with the finished product. The finished product will go into the other notebook, this one, because I do want this to stay somewhat clean, somewhat refined. Even if they're not good poems, I still want it to look fairly nice. So we're gonna do all of the rough draft work here and then move everything that I do end up liking into the silly bear notebook. Okay. I don't know how to structure a narrative in a poetic form, like literally in a like line for line poem form, which it doesn't even really need to follow a narrative, but I feel like I'm so narrative based, given that I write novels primarily, that like that's gonna be a thing that's gonna be hard to shake, I think, for sure. Another thing that I think will be difficult to shake is writing outside of any of the projects I'm currently working on. Every time I work on something like a drawing or like I'm making a playlist or like some sort of visual, like I just made my phone background. I just made a new one because I was getting kind of tired of the old one. And this is very much Project What coded, but like they're all images. None of this is like specifically from the project, but it's like even when I just create like little collages, photo montages, whatever they're called, there's always like a writing project I have in mind. And that's something I want to separate myself from with this. I might make a couple entries, a couple poems that are project related, but I'm going to try not to. And that's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird because everything I do revolves around those. Well, revolve around those projects. But anyways, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be a short poem because the book is rather small. There's not many lines in here. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get 12 lines per poem. All right, enough dilly-dallying. Let's do this. Taken like 20 minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes, but that's fine. Also, the sun is like setting, so I had to turn my desk lamp on. But I think I got it. I did one page. This one was kind of a mess, and then I wrapped it up here. Do I want to share it? Frankly, no. So maybe I won't. This is the first one. I won't share it for now. If I do change my mind, maybe I'll do like a little reading at the end of this video or something. But it's okay. It's an okay, like I feel like maybe the visuals are nice. They're definitely nicer than like when I have had to do poetry in the past, which was in high school, so that was a while ago. But I think simply because I have improved my writing in itself, that I'm able to add more active like verbs and descriptions and put more into each word than I could have in the past. So it's definitely not like god awful, but it's not really great either. There we go, poem number 1. I do need to figure out what I want to draw on the side too. I'm probably just gonna do like clouds, but I want to do like cool clouds. I don't want just basic clouds. Alright, we'll figure it out as we go. Alright, the first set of poem and drawing is complete. Pause to read if you'd like. I would advise against it though, it's not very good. But this is my little drawing. It's like, I'll show you what I referenced. This. Wow. Obviously I made it a little more cartoony, but yeah, storm, fun. Okay, nice. First entry down. I also had to tape this down because I don't know what happened. It just like came undone, but it is taped. Covering my phone number over here, but it is taped. Now that page kind of hangs out the side of the notebook, but whatever, it's fine. Who cares? I will see you guys again later this week when I inevitably end up writing the second poem. Exciting. for the next installment of this journey, the beginning of this journey, I guess I should say, not this whole journey. I just got back from the bookstore, the used bookstore, because it's cheaper and because I was looking for a lot of like almost classical books. So I know that used bookstores have a lot of classical books or like things like that. So I went to a used bookstore, Bookman's, to go pick up some research, some poetry books. This is what I got. So I got 3 poetry books and I got 1 novel because I've been meaning to get this book because I do like Lisa C. Lisa C is a very good author. And I think I've read a couple of her books, but this is the one I wanted to read most out of all of her other books because she has a lot of books. So I got that, but I also got 3 poetry books. The ones that I wanted, unfortunately, were not there. They might be too new or just not in demand enough for them to be at a used bookstore, you know? So I settled for some different things. First, I got a little T.S. Eliot poetry book. Also, my nail is gone. Don't get that one, okay? When I was looking up good poetry, just like in general, T.S. Eliot came up quite a bit, so we're gonna look through that. Very fun, very cute. It's 89 pages, love that. And then another author collected poems of Emily Dickinson. Once again, another classic, which is like, that's why I went there because who doesn't know who that is, you know? So I got a collection of her poems. They're all fairly short, so that is nice because that's what I'm trying to write here. I'm not trying to write like the Iliad or something. I just realized this one smells like old lady perfume. That's great. And then finally, I did get a anthology, a collection, the vintage book of contemporary American poetry. There's some fairly big names on here that I've heard of, so I thought this would be a good place to start. There was a poetry collection, anthology, that I wanted to get. It sounded really interesting. There were a couple I wanted to get, and they sounded very interesting. And the Bookman's that I went to just didn't have them, so I might have to look for those elsewhere or order them online. But these are 3 we will be starting with. And honestly, I think I might start with this one for my research because it does have so many authors, but very cute, very fun. Yeah, there's a lot of authors in here, as you can see, as you can see. And there's 75 poets in here, including these. So these are just like the honorable mentions. I want to start with this, and then today I do want to write a second poem in my little book. The Bookman's too is always busy. I've never been there when it's not been so crowded, so busy. The parking lot is always full. I always have to park at the back. Makes me mad, but at least Bookman's is getting their bag, okay? But I've literally never been there at a time when it wasn't busy. A little stressful. I also spent about 15 minutes looking in the wrong section. I was just looking in general fiction because I thought it would just be mixed in with the fiction. I just had to search by author, you know, by last name. And I was like, why am I not finding literally any poetry in this whole store? Where is the poetry? I wandered around, almost gave up. I almost went home empty-handed. And then I went back to the literature, like fiction and literature section. And right at the end of those aisles, there's a little tiny section of an aisle that says poetry. I spent so long just wandering around, and I was like, oh my god, I just had to search by last name in this one little section of the bookcases. It's fine. It's fine. We figured it out. We got a couple books. That is what matters. Still not happy about it. Still not happy about me doing that to myself. But anyways, let's get reading. Let's get reading. Hi guys. I'm filming a couple videos like in tandem with one another. Is that the right word? Yes, in tandem. I had to look it up. That's embarrassing. So you might be noticing a couple outfits and a couple appearances that look rather similar. That is because I'm going sort of back and forth on what videos I'm filming at a certain time. So we're back. We're back with poetry. I did do a little bit of reading in this, which I'm really enjoying so far. I've only gotten through 3 poets of the 75, so not crazy far. But the 3 that I have read, very nice. I'm doing some annotating as well because annotating helps me actually retain the information. So got a little underlining, little circling, little notes, like It's good stuff. And I've kind of been jumping around a little bit. I mean, I'm going in order of poet, but I was kind of just jumping around their poems that are collected in this and just kind of going off of the title and being like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me read that. So I'm not reading them all in order. I'm just kind of reading the ones that spark my interest. So this is definitely a book I will have to come back to and like sift through it again, see what I haven't read. Definitely something that's going to be useful for a while. But I only have one poem in here. Just the one from the first day. That's all I've got. So it is time to write another one. I'm actually not writing it in here first. Where is that notepad? Where did I put the notepad? Okay, I found it. We're good. Today, I think we're gonna go off of a like random word generator. I almost said number generator, like I'm doing sprints right now or something. That's not gonna help. I was reading this and I really liked how, what's her name? Sorry. Elizabeth Bishop wrote like sensory stuff. From what I read, I don't know about like her entire thing, but from what I read, she had a lot of sensory centered poems about like seaside areas, like beaches, not like white sand beaches, sort of cold northern beaches where like the only people that really hang out here are the fishermen whose boats are on the shore. And I really liked how she described that. I did actually find one of her descriptions was really close to a description that I have in Project What, which I thought was interesting. It was similar in the fact that she, let me see if I can find both of these examples because the books are stacked on top of each other. She says, all is silver. Yeah, keep that in mind. And she talks about like the water, the sand. There's like buckets and like tools and stuff too because it's fishermen. But in here, can I find it? And then here in my book, I say everything was gray. And you're gonna have to trust me. In both of these cases, it means like the shore, the beach. So I thought that was fun. I was like, yo. I also wrote something like that. Anyways, I got the random word generator up. We are going to use it and we're gonna write something based on that word. Let's do this. All right, here we go. Actually, okay, I'm gonna generate 5 words and I'll pick my favorite word. Here we go. Okay. Museum or paradox? Both could be fun. Maybe I'll do both. I'll keep both. I'll write both down and we'll see what happens. Okay, that went so fast. I am done. It's been like 20 minutes, not even. I ended up going with museum because as I was thinking about them, this whole thing pretty much came to me all at once. So I was like, okay, we're doing museum. And this is what I got. Feel free to pause to read if you want. And then I did a little still life sort of thing here. It's like museum painting. I can show you my reference. I definitely didn't follow it very well, but it was just, I just want to get a drawing down, okay? The drawing is not as important as the poem, but this was my reference. So, love that. It's very, mine is very loosely based off of that. Don't look at it too hard, but yay, that was so fun. I think it definitely helped too that I had just finished reading a good amount of the poetry book I'm working on, so I think that helped get into like the zone, the rhythm, the vibe. Close this up and close this up. Wow, such a success. I also know I said earlier that I didn't want to connect this to any of my projects, that I wanted something that was completely divorced from any of my projects. Project What, Project Star, Project Glass. I didn't want any of this associated with that. Well, oops, I connected this one to 2 projects. It can't be escaped. I'm sure you guys understand. It's just like, they're in your brain constantly. They're gonna pop up. Like, I didn't even mean to. I didn't even mean to connect these 2 completely separate projects with this one poem. But in Project What, the main character wants to learn more about the world that her ancestors came from. She never knew the world outside of the island that they live on because it is so radioactive and dangerous. But she wants to know. She wants to know what's out there. And, you know, museums literally hold what's out there. So that was very much her, okay? And then at the end, it's talking about like, okay, well, if you didn't pause to read, the poem is about history and the need for humanity to tie its history and its memories to physical objects as almost like a tethering rope to time. And then at the end it says, I relate in the fact that, you know, to create is to bind yourself to this world. And that is very much what one of the characters in Project Glass is all about. She creates obsessively. She creates obsessively to keep herself sane, almost. Not almost. She literally creates to keep herself sane. So, oops. Meant to keep these completely separate from my projects, and here we are. Here we are. It doesn't explicitly talk about either of those projects though, so I think it still counts. I think we're okay. Anyways, yay! Another poem down, another silly drawing. The next time you see me and this book, hopefully I will be out on the town. not out on the town, but you know, out exploring my city that I live in, and I will bring this with me, and we will write something that's more inspired by real life, not just a word generator, even though that turned out very well. I do like that one. Is it basic? Is it surface level? Maybe, but who cares? But who cares, okay? This is the messy poetry book, okay? As per the title suggests. We're not gonna worry about it too much. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a couple days. Hello. Happy another day. It's been a long time since I filmed the last bit of this video, I can't lie, but we are back for the third poem, and as you can probably tell, I will be out and about today, so we'll actually get like an environmental poem. Very fun. I'm doing a little bit of cafe hopping, both to work on the poems and to work on Project What, so this will be fun, but I do have to get to a cafe. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, hello, I'm back in my apartment. This is so loud still. It was like humid outside because there's rain coming, so it was hot. It was hot. Okay, feel bad for me. I'm back with a completed poem. Hold on. Poem number 3 in this bad boy. I need to fix the picture because I really don't like how I started drawing it, so don't look at that. But it's about busy coffee shops and me not liking busy coffee shops, because when I got to the coffee shop that I ended up going to, it was literally packed. It was so terrible. It was like by just the biggest stroke of luck ever that I ended up getting a table there. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write about that because it happened today. Very fun stuff, very good stuff. Yeah, I do need to fix the drawing because I literally hate it, but I'll do that later. Also, I've been reading the poetry anthology that I got at Bookman's. I'm really liking it. I'm really liking it so far. I think it definitely helps get myself in like the poetry mindset and like begin to start thinking like a poet, I guess. So I like reading at least a couple things from there before I actually start writing the poems. And I think I kind of like writing a poem before I start writing, like drafting, because I think it helped my prose, not gonna lie. Because once I finished my little coffee shop poem, I switched to writing Project What, and I was like, why is this so much easier to like to get like prose out, not just like they went here, but it was like actually infusing it with more feeling. And I was like, maybe it's because I was focused on the poem first. So I might have to try that with the next poem, see if it helps my writing as well. That's a fun discovery. Sorry, this framing is like really weird, and I have like hunched down to be in frame. But yeah, this might be a good warm-up exercise for writing. Like if I'm especially stuck in a project, whip a poem out. Might be the move. It might be the move. The next time you guys see me and this little guy, I want to test again if doing this first helps with my prose. And that'll probably be the last poem in this little video. We'll see. We'll see. Hello, party people. It is the last day I will be filming for this little mini experiment and the 5th poem, I think. Poem number 5. I also have some drawings I need to catch up on because this one I still need to fix because it sucks, and this one I didn't have a pencil on me when I ended up writing it, so I didn't draw. speaking of which, the last poem I did was a couple days ago. I filmed the entire thing in time-lapse, start to end, which starts with reading a couple poems out of this, getting the creative juices flowing, and then figuring out what I want to write about, writing it in this legal pad, that's what they're called, refining it in here, making sure it sucks just a little bit less, while also getting some sketch ideas and whatnot, and then finally placing it in the final poetry book. So I filmed that entirely in time-lapse so you could see the whole thing. It takes maybe an hour or so to do. I'm not entirely sure. I wrote a poem about how hot it is outside right now because it's so hot and I hate it. And that poem, like I said in the video already, was the one where I tested if it helps get the creative juices flowing for my novel writing as well. So I did this poem first before starting to write, and I think it did help. This scene that I'm working on in Project What wasn't perfect for testing this because it's already a scene that I have historically struggled with setting up, at least. I've already had issues with this scene before, but I was able to squeeze out maybe 500 words of setup after finishing the poem, and to be fair, I was struggling with it so much the day before that I had just given up on it and was like, you know what, tomorrow me will deal with that. So, I mean, I think it definitely kick-started the creative, like, prose writing brain, but that scene was impossible, so I think that was the best we were gonna get. But this time around, I unfortunately will not be able to write immediately after finishing this. I have some chores and stuff I need to do, boo. But I still want to do one more in this video just to see how it goes. And then once we are done here, we will do some final conclusions. But so far, I'm having a lot of fun. I think it's really fun to have like a small project to do like this, where it's like you're working towards an end goal. I want to finish the notebook, right? But it's not something that's like a super high responsibility. It's not like I want to finish a draft. I want to get this out to beta readers. I want this, I want that. It's just like, I just want to have fun. I just want to work on this and be happy with the outcome, even if the outcome isn't really that great. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have just like a nice lax project, and one that's completely out of my comfort zone, my skill set. But enough yapping. We are going to start with reading a little bit more of this book. I think I've read like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 poets, maybe? Let's get to it. I'm back. I have read 2 poets. I've read like 5 poems between the 2 poets. They had a lot of nice word usage in them, and there was a lot of things I circled. In this, I've tended to, well, I've underlined things that were too big to circle because I didn't want to circle the whole page, I guess. But things that like really stuck out to me, like specific words or specific phrases, I've ended up circling. In this case, a lot of active verbs, really using every word to its fullest extent. That is what we took from today, but we're gonna do a random word generator to do this last poem here. I was editing a video. I know it's little me, don't look at that. Okay, so we need, you guys can't see the screen at all. Go. We're not gonna take this yet. Let's do 3. Okay, I like this one. We're gonna use chew. Chew. Can you guys even see that? Chew. That's what we're gonna use. Let's figure out what we're writing. Okay, this one was a mess, but I figured it out. Kind of fun. It's kind of silly. It's about food and eating food, but also dealing with the moral dilemma of where your food came from. Super fun. have finished the final poem here with a croissant that's been broken in half. Hopefully it actually looks like that. I'm telling myself it looks like that, so it looks like that. This has been very fun so far. I'm really liking how this is coming together. I know there's only 5 in here right now, but I'm loving just flipping through these and like just looking at them. It's kind of fun. And I'm very excited to see what this looks like once it's completely full and being able to be like, yeah, I finished this entire notebook. There are 22, 23 poems in here from my own brain and 22 or 23 drawings. Like, that's gonna be exciting. I will put up page spreads here if you are interested in looking at them. I will warn you now, they're not the best ever. These are the first 5 poems I've seriously sat down and tried to write. Please don't flame me, but I am very happy with how this is turning out so far. I even ended up getting a second notebook that looks like this. I was at a bookstore and they were selling them, and I was like, oh, might as well just go get one. And they're $3 each, so it's like, I'm not breaking the bank just getting another one of these. So if this ends up going well and I end up continuing to improve my poetry prose, my poetry craft, I'll try and put that into the next notebook. Otherwise I will have a silly notebook with a little crocodile on it to use for some other tiny project of exploration. But final conclusions. So far, I think this has been a really great tool in getting my writing brain going. It's been a nice warm-up. It's been a really good way to begin thinking about prose and understanding how to put more weight onto each word in a sentence, I guess. Making sure sentences aren't just filler and we're actually hitting the points that we need to in my fiction, like novel writing. I feel like it's greatly improved after doing these a few times and also reading the poetry that I've been reading. This is making me see like words and sentence structure and like sort of building that rhythm in a more analytical way. I think that's really good, especially now since I'm in draft 4 of Project What. We are kind of starting to see the more analytical look at the prose and making sure lines are, you know, the best they can be at the time. So I think this is helping me as well be a little more critical of like each word, seeing everything, making it sound as good as possible. Also, I love having an excuse to draw. I like never draw anymore. Having this just to draw, just to get something down has been great. I definitely need to draw more. So this little guy is helping creatively all across the board. Love that. But yeah, that is it for this little intro to this experiment. This experiment will be going all the way to the end of this book and hopefully beyond, but at least to the end of this book. If you have any poetry related experiments, please let me know. Let me know as well how your writing is going. Let me know if you guys like writing poetry, if you have any tips for me. I'm new here, I'll take anything. But let me know anything and everything in the comments. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Wow.